Greetings and welcome to the Culture Ward, where we dissect and dismember pop culture in all its forms. Matt Walsh, conservative commentator, cultural provocateur, and famously wrong person, is a writer and content creator for The Daily Wire, a conservative media outlet run by Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro. Already known for kicking the hornet's nest on divisive cultural issues through his edgy documentaries such as What is a Woman and Am I Racist, Walsh is no stranger to courting the public's ire and condemnation concerning hot-button issues. So it should come as no surprise when he instigates a full-frontal assault on a historically marginalized community and attacks the beloved cultural totems and iconography held sacred by that same community. Of course, we are talking about the recent bigoted invective he launched last week criticizing our beloved Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. Celebrating its 20th anniversary this month, the movie was recently re-released in theaters for a limited run, and Matt Walsh took some of his dozens of children to see it. At least he gets points for being nice to some of his children. It turns out that Walsh's children are smarter and cooler than their lame father, as they are actually Star Wars fans and love the movie. Walsh, on the other hand, had nothing but negativity to spew about this beloved masterpiece of cinema and guidestone of our shared cultural heritage. First, I must apologize for taking so long to put this video out, but I've been in crisis ever since I first heard Matt Walsh's takedown, existing practically in a catatonic state as I tried to work through my emotional trauma. I'm better now, and as part of my healing process, I feel I need to educate Matt Walsh on why he is so wrong, and more importantly, why it matters. No trigger warning, I am going to play parts of Matt Walsh's disgusting diatribe, which may cause you emotional unease, but I'm here to help you work through it as I had to myself. And don't worry, I won't be playing the whole thing, because no one needs to live through that again. I'll leave a link for you to check it out if you're brave enough.
And when I took some of the kids to go see the 20th anniversary re-release of Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith in theaters. I hadn't seen the film since it first came out, and my initial experience with the movie was such that I had no desire to ever experience it again, but I didn't count on one day having children of my own who somehow would become diehard Star Wars fans. And after suffering again through the entire 9-hour runtime, or what felt like it, I can confidently say that Revenge of the Sith is even worse than I remember, like a lot worse. I remember it as a boring, miserable film, but I guess I'd blocked out many of the details, subconsciously attempting to save myself from reliving the trauma. This movie is outrageously, offensively bad. You could, and I'm not saying this for effect, you could make a case that it's like the worst film ever made. And sad to say, it's competing with more than one other Star Wars title for the top of that list.
Okay, so right out of the gate, he calls the film outrageously, offensively bad, and in the running for the worst movie ever made. I mean, come on, that's just mean-spirited hyperbole. We live in a world where both Ed Wood and M. Night Shyamalan exist, and he thinks Revenge of the Sith is anywhere near the worst movie slot? Now, I have to give him a little credit, because he also implies that other Star Wars movies are also in the running, and I hate to say he's not completely wrong. The Last Jedi is the worst movie of all time. But that's Disney Star Wars, not real George Lucas Star Wars, so it doesn't really count.
Everything about it is bad, except the score. The score is pretty good, but not enough to rescue the film. If John Williams made a score for a video of a dog taking a dump, it would be slightly more entertaining than it would have been without the score, but it would still be a dog taking a dump, and this film is the cinematic equivalent of that.
He compares the movie to a dog taking a dump with a John Williams score. Well, if George Lucas directed it, a dog taking a dump to a John Williams score would probably be awesome. Especially if Hayden Christensen talks about how much he hates sand. Bring it on.
First of all, as many people have pointed out over the years, but I must reiterate, the dialogue is atrocious. George Lucas, it would seem, has never heard humans speak. He writes dialogue like I imagine an alien would write dialogue if the only thing he knew about the human race he learned by watching daytime soap operas. So just to give one infamous example, in a scene early in the film, Anakin, played with the charisma of a metal folding chair by Hayden Christensen, goes up to Padme, played by Natalie Portman, and says, "You're so beautiful." And then Padme responds, "That's because I'm so in love." To which Anakin says, "No, it's because I'm so in love with you." That is actual dialogue in this movie. It commits every sin of bad scriptwriting. It is clunky, it's on the nose, it doesn't sound natural at all. Humans do not speak this way. Even humans in galaxies far, far away, unless they're living on planet Cheeseball in the lame dork galaxy. This is not how humans or any other species of sentient life forms speak or would speak.
Alright, so his first and I think biggest complaint is the dialogue in the movie. He hates it. He thinks that no human speaks like this. Well, first of all, Matt Walsh, the Star Wars movies take place, 1, a long time ago, and 2, in a galaxy far, far away. So how the hell do you know how these type of people talk? Oh, I see. Because you think they're human, just like us. And why do you assume that? Again, galaxy far, far away, that's just your own deep narcissism, assuming that any creature that looks vaguely humanoid, even from another galaxy, must also be human, just like you. They look human, but that could just be pareidolia. We don't know what species of creature Anakin and Obi-Wan are, but we do know one thing: they are literally aliens, and so this is exactly how they talk, according to George Lucas. He points out a specific scene in which Anakin and Padme exchange loving dialogue. Now, I get choked up whenever I see this scene. It's so perfect. Let me just play it for you.
You're so beautiful.
It's only because I'm so in love.
No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
So love has blinded you.
Well, that's not exactly what I meant.
It's probably true.
Now, once again, Matt's ignorance shines through in his analysis. Did you know, Matt, that George Lucas was a fan of spaghetti westerns and samurai films like those of Kurosawa? He actually patterned Star Wars after those tropes. So, if you weren't so uncultured, you would understand that if you take the dialogue from this movie, translate it to 17th century Japanese, then translate that to 19th century American English like they spoke in the Old West, and then translate that to modern English, it sounds like Shakespeare. I can't believe I have to tell you this. He then has the absolute gall to complain that dialogue in the movie was, quote, on the nose, basically lacking subtlety. Seriously? This coming from one of the creative geniuses behind Lady Ballers?
You gotta believe me when I tell you this. You are not a woman.
How can you be so sure I'm not a woman?
Good talk.
And to make matters worse, the acting is uniformly bad, in some cases grotesquely bad. Now granted, the actors were given the impossible task of delivering George Lucas dialogue, which is the modern film industry equivalent of like pulling the sword from the stone. There may be some actor out there in the world who can make this crap sound good, but he's never stepped forward. His existence is only a legend. Maybe Daniel Day-Lewis could do it, I'm not sure, but I do know that Hayden Christensen can't. Neither can Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, Samuel L. Jackson, who are all terrible in this film. Even R2-D2's performance fell flat and uninspired.
Next, he goes after the lowest hanging fruit of all, Hayden Christensen's acting. It's cheap, lazy, and derivative. Every so-called critic in creation has made fun of Hayden's portrayal of Anakin, so it's just lame to kick that dead horse. But more importantly, it's just plain wrong. Hayden played Anakin exactly the way George Lucas directed him to. He was the ultimate homeschool kid, taken away from society at 8 years old and raised in the equivalent of a monastery by space monks. Of course he's awkward and socially uncertain. He totally nailed the role.
So we've established that the acting and dialogue were terrible. Many apologists for the film, and I've heard this just since yesterday because I tweeted about this, and a lot of people were very upset, as you expect, that I thought the movie was bad. But what I found is that a lot of people were conceding both points, but then claiming that the movie is still good. Now, of course, saying that a movie has bad acting and bad dialogue, but is still good, is like if you ask someone their opinion of the local Italian joint, and they say, well, the customer service is terrible and the food tastes bad, but overall, it's actually a great restaurant.
Walsh then suggests that people concede these 2 points, bad dialogue and bad acting. Oh yeah, what people concede these points, Matt? The imaginary ones you made up to push your hateful rhetoric? And okay, let's say these hypothetical people concede, hypothetically, that some dialogue was clunky and some of the acting seemed forced or wooden. That's not the same as saying it all was bad. Take these lines from Ewan McGregor, for instance. All joking aside, this scene still brings tears to my eyes.
You were my brother, Anakin!
You see, some of the greatest movies of all time have had bits that weren't that great, but you can overlook an occasional clunky piece of dialogue or an occasional wooden moment in the acting because, 1, the rest of the movie makes up for it, but 2, because sometimes in real life people act wooden or say something weird. It just happens. It's because the movie is made by human people who have human weaknesses, and if anything, a few moments of cringy dialogue or bad acting actually makes the piece more realistic and endearing. So see, even if you're right, Matt, you're wrong.
Now, you might want to say, well, the acting sucks and the script sucks, but at least the action is good. I would submit that a poorly written and poorly performed film with good action is still on balance a bad film, but as it happens, this movie doesn't have good action scenes. The action scenes are long and busy and lots of things happen in them, but they are not good. I mean, the fight choreography is terrible.
What? What the fuck?
It's clumsy and nonsensical and uninspired. Many of the Jedis who are supposed to be like intergalactic ninjas, like the Karate Kids of the Cosmos or whatever, have shockingly bad reflexes. I mean, Revenge of the Sith features some of the slowest fight scenes I've ever seen. There's a scene where Emperor Ovaltine, or whatever his name is who I guess is not an emperor yet in this, but he fights off a group of Jedis who came to apprehend him. And the actor who played Ovaltine was in his mid-60s, and he moves like it. And yet, despite swinging the lightsaber with all the speed and vigor of a retiree playing softball, he still easily dispatches like multiple Jedi warriors who are supposed to be, the greatest warriors in the universe. And in just with a casual, flick of the lightsaber, they're dead. That's it. And the fight scenes are also funny because they use stunt doubles or CGI to have the Jedis do flips and random mid-air 360 corkscrews like Simone Biles for no obvious strategic reason. But for the rest of the time, they have the actual actors, I guess, doing the moves. So we're treated to the spectacle of fighters who can jump and flip like Olympic gymnasts. But when they're not jumping, they move like these clumsy old dudes.
Yeah, I'm not even going to address this part about action. The action was awesome and everybody knows it. Sheev Palpatine, but I do give Matt credit for calling him Ovaltine, that's kind of funny, is such a powerful Sith, he doesn't need to move fast to take out his opponents. Besides, this once again reveals your total ignorance, Matt Walsh. You clearly don't understand lightsaber dueling techniques. When the camera's up close, you move slower and more deliberately, and when it's far away, you move like a ninja. That's just being accurate to the lore.
So the action isn't good, script isn't good, acting isn't good. What's left? The story? Can we possibly say that although the acting is bad, the dialogue's bad, the action's bad, at least the story was good? Well, no, we can't, because unfortunately, this ship hit multiple massive narrative icebergs, so that by the end of the thing, the thing was so riddled with holes that it could just barely stay afloat. So let me give you just two examples, both from the end of the movie. In the climactic battle sequence between Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi, which takes place on a lava planet for some reason. I don't remember why they went to a lava planet. Maybe there was a good reason. Okay, why would anyone go to a lava planet? If there are thousands of planets and you can go to any of them faster than the speed of light, why would you ever choose the lava planet for any activity? What possible activity why would you ever go to it? Why would anything ever happen is it because Anakin was evil? So when you turn evil, you suddenly develop an affinity for lava? That's George Lucas's writing for you. Well, he's evil, so he must like lava.
Did you even watch the movie, Matt? Anakin went to the lava planet, which is called Mustafar, because the leader of the Separatists was hiding out there in a mining facility, and Anakin was sent to kill him. Obi-Wan and Padme just followed him there. That's why they're on the lava planet. Maybe this is the real problem. Matt didn't actually watch the movie. He took his 17 kids to the theater and fell asleep 10 minutes in, only to wake up at uneven intervals throughout. Or you were just unable to comprehend what was happening and you mistake your own inability to understand the plot as bad writing. George Lucas created this masterpiece, but he can't watch it for you.
This scene ends with Obi-Wan Kenobi jumping off of one of the lava rafts and onto a gently sloping hill, and then he turns back to Anakin, who's still floating on the lava, and says, "It's over. I have the higher ground." The fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi is slightly elevated over Anakin is supposed to somehow mean that he automatically wins the fight, except that Anakin just 5 seconds earlier had leapt like 30 feet in the air with effortless ease. So even if the higher ground is decisive, he could easily just jump higher than Obi-Wan Kenobi was standing. Or he could walk up the hill and continue fighting. This is a wide hill. Anakin could jump to any spot on the hill where his opponent is not standing. Or he could float down a ways and jump onto a different hill and then continue the fight. There's no reason why Obi-Wan Kenobi standing on a hill should have ended the fight, unless Anakin did the one thing he decided to do, which was to jump directly over Obi-Wan's head so he could just casually reach up and cut his legs off. And that's how it ends. The whole sequence with Anakin just presenting his legs to be cut off. Here you go.
Now, the high ground is a well-known tactical advantage. Every military strategist knows this. Even Ed Harris's character in The Rock.
We're dead.
Your unit is covered from an elevated position, Commander. I'm not gonna ask again. Don't do anything stupid. No one has to die here.
It was also a metaphor. Obi-Wan had the moral high ground, and Anakin's own arrogance placed him at a strategic low ground, or something.
Also, there's this problem. This is the last thing. The whole reason that Anakin turns to the dark side is because he had his visions that his wife Padme was going to die. Ovaltine promises him that if he goes to the dark side, he can stop his wife from dying. And then, which by the way is not a bad concept. Like that idea is not a bad idea. And then right before the final battle, Anakin seemingly chokes her to death himself. And this could work in a tragic sense. He turned to the dark side to save his wife, but then he ended up killing her. Except the problem is that for some reason we learn in the next scene that he didn't kill his wife. The doctors tell us that his wife did not sustain any physical damage at all, yet she was still dying of a broken heart or something. So rather than having the tragic ending of Anakin killing the woman who he was supposedly trying to protect, for some reason Lucas pulls the punch so that the whole choking incident was irrelevant. And now we have Padme giving up on life because her lame goth boyfriend turned evil. So instead of her dying a tragic death, she turns out to be a selfish coward who's not motivated to live for the 2 children she just gave birth to. Then we cut to the next scene where Darth Vader finds out that Padme died and then throws his hands in the air and shouts, "No." More atrocious writing from George Lucas. I mean, there were dozens of potentially profound and interesting ways to have this character respond to this news. Instead, Lucas beats you over the head with the cliche sledgehammer, literally having a character throw his arms in the air and shout, "No." I've never seen anyone do that in real life ever. It just doesn't happen.
All right, this one I have to concede a little. Padme dying in childbirth has always bothered me. The trope of dying of a broken heart is stupid, especially in a galaxy far, far away where they have medical robots and bacta tanks. I mean, come on. I have no idea why George Lucas chose to take her out this way, but you know what? He's George Lucas. I'm sure he had good reasons. Who am I to disagree with a genius like George Lucas? And then to complain about that iconic ending where Darth Vader yells "no"? That's crazy. It was perfect. Why would he say anything else? He's in deepest despair at that moment, and that's the sound of his heart crying out.
Do you hear? That is the sound of ultimate suffering. My heart made that sound when Ruben slaughtered my father. The man in black makes it now.
Any other dialogue at that point would have ruined the scene. So, wrong again, Matt, as usual. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I think I made my point. Matt Walsh is a childish, unsophisticated ignoramus who knows nothing of Star Wars or George Lucas. He's probably bitter because his parents wouldn't buy him Star Wars toys when he was little, so he built this hateful and bigoted little mind cocoon to convince himself that he didn't want the Star Wars toys anyway, because Star Wars is dumb. And now he lashes out at all the people that did get the Star Wars toys, and who do appreciate the art and craft that is George Lucas's Star Wars, especially Revenge of the Sith. And this bitter, petty hatred for something so magical and pure is the reason that you, Matt Walsh, are today canceled. Anyway, what do you think? Do you think Matt Walsh should be arrested for his attack on the Star Wars franchise? Why do you think he's so monumentally wrong about Revenge of the Sith and all the other things? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. Please subscribe and hit that like button if you enjoyed the content. Bye for now. I hope to see you next time in the Culture Wars.